You are settled on the couch, running your hand along your cat's back. They are purring, leaning into the touch, and everything is completely peaceful. Then, out of nowhere, they bite your hand, kick out with their back legs, and bolt across the room. You pull your hand back, nursing the sudden scratch. You feel betrayed and confused, left wondering why a moment of affection suddenly turned aggressive. Why does an animal attack right in the middle of a physical interaction they appeared to be begging for? This hostility occurs when tactile interaction collides with an invisible biological ceiling known as the petting threshold. Identifying this invisible ceiling provides the framework to stop the cycle of overstimulation and trigger a specific trust-building mechanism in the cat's brain. Humans are primates. We are wired to enjoy continuous, prolonged physical contact. Cats operate with a highly sensitive, finely tuned nervous system that processes tactile input very differently. When humans apply our baseline of constant touch to their sensitive neurology, it often results in a condition called petting-induced aggression. This chart uses a cup to represent sensory capacity. Each stroke acts like a water drop, pushing the level higher. The second water breaches the edge, the experience inverts. A pleasurable scratch becomes an overwhelmingly intense, painful sensation. The bite functions as an automatic off switch pulled by a nervous system in distress. We perceive the bite as sudden only because human neurology is not equipped to feel the cat's sensory cup filling up in real time. If we rewind the tape and look strictly at the 30 seconds immediately preceding the bite, the signals of this accumulation become visible. First, look at the tail. An agitated, rhythmic flicking or thumping against the couch is the earliest indicator that the cat is reaching its sensory limit. Next, watch the skin along their back. A sudden, rippling twitch across the fur is a physical symptom of neurological hypersensitivity. Then, the ears. If they rotate backward or flatten against the skull, the cat has shifted out of a relaxed state and into defensive alertness. Finally, the shift in weight. Stiffening the front legs or subtly leaning away from your hand is the body preparing the mechanics of escape. These 4 signs represent the cat's specific physical request to end the interaction. Because these warnings were present throughout the encounter, we can see that the cat was communicating clearly long before the physical threshold was crossed. Avoiding the threshold requires you to completely cease petting the exact moment you spot any one of those 4 subtle warning signs. You can also utilize a consent test by pausing your petting every few seconds. If they actively nudge your hand, they want more. If they do nothing, the session is over. When you stop and respect that boundary, a distinct chemical reaction occurs inside your cat's head. This diagram shows the cat's brain as you pull your hand away. The stress meter halts. In its place, a wave of GABA, the brain's ultimate trust and relaxation neurotransmitter, washes over the neural pathways. This flood of GABA alters the cat's immediate perception of the interaction, replacing rising tension with a state of security. There is an irony here. Withdrawing physical affection in the moment is the specific trigger required to deepen their trust in you. When this GABA-releasing cycle occurs consistently over weeks and months, the brain stops associating physical touch with impending stress. The accumulation of these safe interactions builds a stable, long-term psychological state. This state is known as predictive comfort. Predictive comfort is a cat's hardwired understanding that interacting with you is safe and entirely devoid of random overstimulation. Instead of biting and bolting, a cat operating with predictive comfort will actively seek out much longer, more affectionate cuddle sessions because they no longer fear the threshold. Walking away before that threshold is reached provides the cat's brain with the biological space it needs to love you back entirely.
You do everything right. You buy the expensive food, you clean the litter box, and try to pick up your pet to show love. Instead, they squirm from your grip, hit the floor, and dart under the couch. This chart highlights a counterintuitive reality. 98% of cat owners are unknowingly suffocating their cats with affection. Humans show love through proximity. We constantly pick our pets up, follow them from room to room, and pet them while they sleep. But with felines, this constant uninvited physical attention drives a wedge between you and the animal. Building a deep bond requires the exact opposite approach. To make a cat obsessed with you, you have to use a behavioral technique that relies on reverse psychology. You cannot apply human metrics of love to a small, solitary hunter. You have to stop trying to earn their affection through physical touch and instead manipulate their natural instincts. To understand why human affection fails, you have to view the room through the cat's eyes. You are dealing with an animal that weighs 10 pounds. To them, you are a towering, unpredictable giant taking up massive amounts of vertical space. This diagram compares two types of movement. On the left is the downward swooping trajectory of an apex predator, like a hawk or an owl. On the right is a human reaching down to pick up a pet. Spatially, the approach is virtually identical. When you hover over a cat, you are ringing biological alarm bells. That physical smothering involuntarily triggers their flight response. Millions of years of evolutionary survival programming take over in a fraction of a second. Their immediate biological imperative is to run and find a dark, enclosed space to stay safe. When you swoop in for a hug, the cat does not process it as love. They process it as an existential threat that compromises the safety of their immediate environment. You can bypass these defensive instincts entirely by altering how you exist in their physical space. The technique is called strategic indifference. Step 1 is neutralizing your physical scale. You sit quietly on the floor, bringing yourself down to their eye level. You immediately eliminate the threat of the towering giant. Step 2 requires you to look away. Direct, sustained eye contact is a predatory behavior in the animal kingdom. By breaking that gaze, you signal that you are not hunting. Step 3 is the most difficult for a pet owner. You completely ignore them. You do not speak, you do not reach out, and you do not react. You become a passive, entirely predictable fixture in the room. By holding this passive state, you drain tension from the environment. Without a threat, the feline's intense curiosity eventually overrides their evolutionary fear. Strategic indifference breaks down their instinctual boundaries. By doing absolutely nothing, you transform yourself from a towering predator into a harmless, highly intriguing object that demands investigation. Because you have removed the pressure, the cat will eventually close the distance. They will cross the room, sniff your hand, and choose to initiate physical contact entirely on their own terms. Look at the data on how cats react to this shift. This chart measures feline engagement. When an animal is empowered to choose when and how they interact, we see a massive 300. It is won by having the psychological discipline to sit still and simply let them come to you.
Most of us pet our cats the same way, broad strokes down the back or heavy pats right on top of the head. It feels affectionate to us, but to a cat, it is just basic physical contact. Cats have a specific bundle of secretory cells located on the side of their face called the temporal gland. Touching this exact spot carries 10 times the emotional weight of a normal pet. This graph maps the feline chemical response to that touch. The moment the temporal gland is activated correctly, you see a sharp spike in oxytocin, the primary bonding hormone. At the exact same time, cortisol, which dictates stress, drops by 40%. This trigger creates a social odor memory, wiring your specific scent to their physiological sense of safety. Step 1 is checking the cat's current physical state. They must be resting. If their pupils are dilated from playing or they are actively stalking a toy, their nervous system is primed for action, not bonding. You also need to check your own hands. Cold fingers will cause the cat to reflexively flinch away from your touch. Make sure to warm up your hands before proceeding. Now, finding the temporal gland requires precise spatial targeting. You cannot just rub the general side of their face and expect the chemical cascade to occur. This map outlines the side profile of a cat's head. Target this highlighted zone, starting at the eye's outer corner and ending at the ear's base. Notice these red barrier zones animating around the eye. Maintain a strict safety margin to avoid the cornea. Pinpoint accuracy within that target zone determines whether you initiate the biological trust sequence or simply cause annoyance. To apply the technique, we are going to deliberately mimic the physical motion of a mother cat's grooming tongue. Using your index or middle finger, start making gentle, continuous circular strokes within the temporal zone. Keep the motion smooth and unbroken. The pressure must be feather light. You should apply just enough force to move the surface fur, and no more. The most common mistake people make right here is applying too much downward pressure into the muscle that instantly breaks the maternal illusion. This brings us to the actual creation of that social odor memory. As you stimulate the gland with those light circles, the cat begins releasing concentrated pheromones. Deliberately pause your stroking and hold your fingers still. The cat will lean in to sniff your finger, mixing their freshly released pheromones with your personal scent. By combining the tactile simulation of maternal grooming with your unique scent, you wire yourself into their brain as a permanent anchor of safety. To verify that the oxytocin cascade is actually occurring, you have to monitor the cat's involuntary physical responses. Look at this close-up video. You can see the heavy eyelid droop, and watch how the tension leaves the whiskers as they angle downwards. This indicates the cat has transitioned into a state of low cortisol relaxation. You will also feel them push their weight heavily into your finger, usually accompanied by a steady motor-like purr. Watch closely for warning signs of overstimulation. If their tail suddenly starts flicking, or you notice rapid ear twitches, the sensation is becoming too intense. If those warning signs appear, stop your hand completely. Let them reset. If they lean back in to re-engage, resume the process with an even lighter touch. Actively reading and adjusting to these micro-cues prevents sensory overload. It keeps the fragile chemical loop you just established intact. When you follow these steps, the cat will settle into a state of total physical relaxation. Inside their nervous system, you have successfully engineered that 40% drop in stress and flooded their brain with bonding hormones. Integrate this into a structured daily routine. The optimal times to apply this technique are when they're already resting, like a post-meal lounge or right before sleep. Daily application creates a compounding effect. By triggering this response consistently over time, you continually reinforce the mother-kitten trust dynamic. Mastering this single biological lever creates a partnership built on a foundation of chemical trust.